Well then, why don't you show me? Let's see the power of Kinzo's furniture. This time, don't get the wrong idea, okay? Don't forget that you're furniture, got it? If you try to continue playing the human even now, this won't be settled by your death alone. Heh. The goat attendant made what seemed to be a silent, respectful bow. Was it directed at its master? Or was it offered to Canon, its opponent? Then, on the attendant's hand, a blade of wicked malice appeared. Shiny. What the hell? Is that... Jessica had been unable to understand what was happening before her eyes for a while now. All she understood was that this glow in front of her existed for the purpose of ending her life. And right now, that was enough. Canon spoke quietly to Jessica, who was hiding behind his back. Milady, please stay back against the wall. Never let your back leave the wall. What? It's only right for the maiden to obediently hide behind the great knight's back. I do hope you enjoy the pleasure of having your life protected by a man. Now, Canon, let's have a look at your blade. Canon. Hell yeah. Beautiful. At least when it comes to giving birth to furniture, Kinzo might even reach up as far as my feet. A thing like this can't even be used to trim the roses. Canon-kun, what's... I didn't want to show you. So you've taken it out. How does it feel to expose your subhumanity in front of the girl you care for? Be silent. So you'll act composed even though you're really burning with wrath. Yes, they do say that truly hot flames burn a cool blue. Is that how you are now? There's no way I can kill you with my power. You are the moon. I could never smash the moon by throwing a rock. However, in order to manifest yourself, you've had to reflect your image off the surface of the water. If you throw a rock at the surface of the water, you might be able to disturb the moon's image for some time. That doesn't mean the moon has been smashed. So, until this life of mine is over, I'll keep on striking your reflection. I like it, Canon. Begin, furniture. I'm really glad we updated the graphics. Also, I am sorry for flashing lights. Oh, what a beautiful curve. Witch's words of admiration broke the silence, and for just an instant, they broke Jessica's paralysis. Am I dreaming? Come, furniture of the witch. I'll beat you down to the hell you came from. Gonna do that again. This is very pretty. Oh. Damn. A strand of red had been left on Canon's cheek. The witch saw this and grinned broadly. Ha! Feel free to mutter excuses about how your instincts still haven't returned quite yet. Canon-kun, stay strong. It's okay. I won't die just yet. Shit. Uh-oh. The curve drawn by the goat attendant's blade drew a large arc in empty space. Canon wasn't there. He was behind it. Oh, snap. Go back and await your master's return. Die. Dang. If this battle of drawing sparkling curves was chess, then cannon coming from behind was check. And press and press and press. Use 7 moves and make it mate. Perhaps the goat attendant hadn't even been granted the ability to go into death throes. As its knees buckled and it fell over, it broke into a bunch of gold butterflies with a pop. So there's no sound of it hitting the ground. Even those unable to understand this battle would surely realize that cannon had been magnificent. Humph. So it couldn't win against a handmade piece. It seems you aren't quite that pathetic. You're next, Beatrice. The instant cannon's blade sliced diagonally through the witch's form like a knife through butter, she turned gold and burst. She scattered into several thousand butterflies, and just for an instant, the room was filled with the color of twilight. It was just as Cannon himself had said. Slicing Beatrice was just the same as slicing the surface of the water where the moon was reflected. The witch's form, with an ordinary expression on its face, as though she'd been there the whole time, was right behind Cannon. Ha ha! You've provided quite an entertaining show. Out of respect for that, I thought about letting you off the hook, but your rudeness now has made me change my mind. Don't lie. I won't let you kill Milady. Even if that's impossible, I won't let you kill her while I still live. You can't even do that much. Do not speak, furniture. Be silent, furniture. Know your place, furniture. Cannon-kun isn't furniture. Oh, and what makes you think that? I don't need a reason. Cannon-kun is Cannon-kun. No, his real name is different, but a name doesn't make him furniture. Cannon-kun has his own way of living. That's a noble thing, and it's something he gets to decide for himself. You say he can't have an opinion because he's furniture, that he can't live his own life because he's furniture? That's wrong. Milady, you mustn't provoke her. No, I've got to make this clear. Cannon-kun isn't furniture. He's human. Why? Cannon-kun rushed to save me of his own free will, and he stood in the path of a fearsome witch like you. He had so many chances to just let me go, but he didn't. Self-sacrifice is part of the noble spirit that only humans have. That means Cannon-kun's human. So take it back. Don't you call Cannon-kun furniture again. Milady. Do that, he'll lose his magic sword thing. Haha. Insert more laughing here. Be silent, human. Let's end this quickly, since this is still just the second twilight after all. Now I shall sacrifice the two who are close, who have acknowledged each other's dignity. Well then, arise, forgive the sin, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, lust. The witch summoned her furniture with a mixture of laughter and anger on her face. That expression is ridiculous. Asmodeus of lust, right here. I've had enough of this farce. Quickly, execute the second twilight. Don't keep me waiting, got it? That outfit is interesting. As you command. Another weirdo's shown up. Took Cannon less than an instant to understand. That goat face from a second ago had been nothing more than a pawn to the witch. However, this newly summoned furniture was a game piece with a vastly different value. Wow, I must be lucky to be given such wonderful prey. You scared? How cute. Come, furniture of the witch. I won't be killed by you. You're acting pretty smart for a dunce who can't even follow me with his eyes. Here I go, okay? Hey, where do you want it? Where do you want me to pierce you? Answer me, cutie. I'll pierce you good wherever you want. Come, answer me, cutie. Don't call me cute. Here I go, you dunce. Come on, try to follow me, you blind idiot. Haha. Milady. Oh, did she get in the way? Heh, I couldn't follow it with my eyes, but my guess was spot on. Serves you right. Kennan's back had been the target, but Jessica had predicted it. She'd predicted that the witch's target would be the complete opposite of fair and honest, his back. But she had no way to block it. She hadn't planned on it being some act of self-sacrifice. She just couldn't think of any other way to protect Cannon's back. So she could do nothing but block it with her own back. The furniture of the witch, which had changed its form into a demon's stake, was buried deep into Jessica's back. It was an obviously fatal wound that reached as far as her lungs. When she saw this, the witch let out a loud, evil laugh, because it had hit where the witch had predicted. Everything was as the witch had predicted. What's wrong, Cannon? Milady Jessica just got killed while you still lived, didn't she? Yes, that's it. That face, that look on your face is what I wanted to see. Ha! How truly enjoyable. That's enough. Die, make me laugh. Come, arise, forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory. Wrath. Satan of Wrath, right here. This prey is yours. Eat him up right now and close the curtain on his stage. If you were a human, I'd say it's time for you to step down. But since you're furniture, maybe I should say it's time for the stage manager to carry you behind the stage. I am not furniture anymore. Won't doubt that again. Oh, what's this? You want to be killed by me again? Your chest, it's so warm, and it feels so good to pierce it. Come on, let me have another taste, okay? Won't you make me feel really good with all that hot, fresh blood in that warm chest of yours? So, apparently, Satan's the one that stabbed him last iteration. And the furniture knows. I wonder if Cannon knows. I don't think he would. Witches does. Ha ha ha. That noise. That noise, it sounds like feet on a tin roof. There was no way to block it. The sound of a woodpecker filled the entire room. And before you could blink, it was already right in the center of his chest. When you take a piece in chess, the rules say it's impossible for your opponent's piece to defend itself. So this was an obvious result in accordance with the rules. Cannon landed on his knees, and he apologized. Not to the witch, and not to Milady. He apologized to Jessica. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you. Don't worry about it. You were really cool. Cannon finally fell over. He landed next to Jessica, and the two lay there like the constellation Gemini. You know, Cannon-kun, you aren't furniture anymore. Yes. I was too late realizing that. I wanted to ask you what your real name was. My real name is... His last moments, Cannon wanted to tell her his real name, but Jessica had already fallen into a sleep from which she would never wake. So Cannon's real name, which he had protected until today, in the end, he couldn't tell it to Jessica. I became human. Those were the last words Cannon left behind. Ha! Don't make me laugh, furniture. Even after 100 years, furniture will still be furniture. Have you ever heard of anyone stupid enough to dig a grave for their furniture when they throw it away? You smash furniture to pieces and make firewood, so all it's left is ashes. Ha! That's how it is. Furniture gets no tombstone. It seems you believe death means an end to your humiliation, but that's naive. I'll show you what it really means to disgrace the dead. Ha ha ha. Uh-oh, what are you doing? After taking a puff from her pipe, the witch breathed smoke at Cannon's corpse. When she did, Cannon's corpse floated softly up into the air and disappeared as though it had been eaten by a mouth in empty space. The witch played dirty until the very end. The corpses of the pair who managed to understand each other in the end were not even permitted to be close. If someone had been watching, they would probably say mournfully, "So this is what you meant by disgracing the dead." However, Beatrice was far crueler than that. The reason for that would soon become apparent. She's gonna do something about the order or something. I don't know. Something weird going on there.
Resubscription received. Apparently you were doing something right, Captain.
Good evening to you.
Thank you, Half Narrow. I see. So it has begun. Yes. Even though Kinzo had received news of 6 deaths, his emotions did not waver. The expression on his face as he gazed out the window was a smile, as though his opponent in a chess game had just made a spectacular move. It was hard to imagine that such an expression could ever appear on a father who had lost so many children at once. Goda and Ken followed Rosa-sama's orders and went to call the police. After that, she ordered us to follow your orders, Master. What shall we do? This island has already been cut off from the real world. Your phones will serve no purpose. Should I have them stop? Until the roulette is finished, what they do to pass the time is up to them. Let them do as they pleased. Yes, sir. What should we tell Rosa-sama? Okay, so, Half an hour. What you've missed is, we just saw Jessica and Cannon murdered. Cannon actually was able to summon a, blade from his hand, just as the goat servant he was trying to fight off, did as well. Because they're both quote-unquote furniture, they were able to do that. And he did beat the goat off, but then, the witch actually called servants to kill him and Jessica. And then the witch poofed Cannon's body and basically disappeared it. So it's gonna look like only Jessica died in that room. Now, I'm sitting here looking at Shannon in a conversation elsewhere, and there could be a very good reason that they had to disappear Cannon's body. I'm just saying. I'm not sure how they're going to play that one out, because it was kind of a confusing point in the last one as well. Didn't I say they should pass the time as they pleased? They can sing if they want, dance if they want. They're even free to hang themselves by the neck or jump into a boiling kettle. Until 13 people die, they can spend their time as they like. If that's too boring, they can wonder about whether 6 times 9 equals 42 or something. Beatrice has a bunch of goat servants. No, actually, the other 2 servants she summoned were 2 of the 7 stakes of purgatory. Was it 7? 9? 7, because it's the 7 deadly sins. She summoned 2 of them to kill them off, and it was Lust that got Jessica, and it was Wrath that got Cannon. Those are those ice pick things that she summons. But they have humanoid forms when she first summons them. So it's, very, very Animu. But yes. That's the answer to the mystery of humanity in the universe. Did he... Hold up. Six times 9 equals 42. Did they just seriously make a Hitchhiker's Guide joke? By saying 42, the answer to the mystery of humanity in the universe? Really? Oh, oops. I found the toggle Japanese button. Actually, I'm curious what the literal translation. It just backed me up. Hold on. I'm doing a great job with this. Okay. Yes. My apologies. Cannon open unto Jessica before he died, or was he a big whip? He defended her, and admitted he was human, basically. Like, he did that. No one said I love you, or anything like that, but he defended her. And it was very clear that they acknowledged each other in their own way. Shannon cowered in fright at this sudden rage. Genji made a gesture as though telling her not to speak out of turn. Shannon couldn't help but regret saying too much. However, you two are also free to do as you wish. Genji, and Shannon too, you have done well serving me until today. Your words are too good for me. But, we are furniture who have sworn to serve the master. We stand ready to serve you no matter the time. Till the very end. I want to tell you about everything. Shannon, I'm going to write a will. Shall need you to transcribe for me. Please, Genji, my usual drink. Huh? Yes, sir. Nancho often commented that Kinzo write a will, or recommended that Kinzo write a will because of his health, but each time he had, Kinzo had gone mad with rage. Ever since then, you'd think will would have been the word Kinzo hated the most. After hearing such a word come from his lips, Shannon couldn't help doubting her ears for an instant. Shannon hurriedly prepared the side table and some writing paper. Genji followed his orders and began preparing that usual green evil drink. I'm ready. Where should I begin? Shall I also speak of my life? It would be fun to leave behind a record of my most memorable games. It can be truly amusing to read the records of old games from centuries past, to journey in search of those players' thoughts. So, should the game record of my life lead those in the future to go on a journey in search of my thoughts? For a while, Kinzo pondered over where he should begin, strutting all over the room with his hands behind his back. Master, here. Ah, yes. Thank you, my friend. Well then, if I am to speak of my life, I must begin by writing of my meeting with that witch. Shannon, begin writing. My first meeting with Beatrice took place a long way back. What year of the Showa era was it? Must have been at the end of the war, so... We don't get to hear the whole story now, do we? Gosh darn it. We took enough time to regain our calm, and we each swore to our parents that we'd catch the culprit. It would be a lie to say we weren't still torn up. Even now, if we let our guards down just a little, we'd probably start going on a rampage, just like Jessica, letting our emotions show with some kind of violence. According to what Goto-san said, after he got back, right now, Kennen-kun was looking after Jessica. Apparently, she was still very emotionally high-strung. I see. Thank you. Maybe a young kid would be better at understanding a young kid's feelings. It would probably be better if we left them alone for now. Rosa-san, there is nothing more to be gained by remaining here. The phones may not be working, but tomorrow the boat will come and we should be able to reach the police. We should leave this place as it is for the police's investigation. I agree with Dr. Nanjo. Staying in a place like this for too long will be bad for your health. Let us return and make some black tea. Yeah, I agree with that. Battler-kun, George-kun, are you ready? Let's lock up here. We ought to leave this place as it is anyway, for when the police come. You're right. Battler-kun, are you okay? Yeah, I've cried all I can. I'm fine now. Police would surely find some evidence during their thorough investigation, but we weren't adult enough to wait for that. I'd investigate the chapel in my own way, trying to grab the culprit before the police arrived. And what I figured out was absolutely nothing, frustratingly. I wasn't able to find a single hint. Come on, let's go out. Maria, we're going. Don't keep staring at it. Come, Maria-sama. Let us return. It's cold here. Father, Mother, thank you for everything. I will definitely become a man who doesn't betray your expectations. George spoke his last words of farewell to his parents. After seeing that, Battler followed suit. Dad, Kyrie-san. Just looking at their faces, it looked like they were sleeping, but that just made it even more painful. Forgive me for leaving you in a cold place like this. I'll definitely get whoever did this, no matter what. We still need Kumasawa. I just realized we haven't seen Kumasawa since the everyone was in their places at midnight. What is this? What a repulsive scribble. The culprit drew it. This is worse than vulgar. How horrible. When the door to the chapel was closed, we learned about that creepy scribble for the first time. When we first found this, it was already drawn here. It must have been made by the culprit. So supposedly, the culprit was a witch, and this is a magic circle to summon a demon or something. Hehe. This is the 7th magic circle of the sun. Don't you even know that? Hehe. Ouch! Hey, don't I always tell you not to make that creepy laugh? Maria, go on. What does it mean? It's a magic circle to escape from physical or mental bonds. And the part written around the circumference says, "The Lord has freed me from my chains. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord in Hebrew." Sacrifice of thanksgiving? So they killed Father and the rest just to use them as human sacrifices for this magic circle? Calm down, George-kun. This is the culprit trying to provoke us. Sure, it doesn't mean anything. Thinking about it will only poison the heart. And it looks like there's some English written here. Happy Halloween for Maria. I get it. And the key to open this door was handed over to Maria. Is that what's going on? Well, this is the chapel after all. Maybe Maria doesn't mean Maria-chan, but the Virgin Mary. In that case, you could read this as a blasphemy against God in the name of Halloween. They say witches who make contracts with demons swear to defile God's name at all times. In that sense, this really is a witch-like crime. Sounds like you know a lot about it. Did you get that from Maria? Yeah, something like that. George is secretly a fan of it, too. The chapel, huh? They went to all the trouble of calling them out here and killing them. Aunt Rosa, does this chapel have some special meaning? What do you mean, special meaning? Well, someone carried 6 human corpses all the way here and set up these elaborate decorations. Can't tell if she called all 6 of them over here before killing them, or if she killed them before carrying them over here. But either way, it'd take a lot of effort. Why did the culprit want 6 people to die here? True. By doing something that elaborate, there would be an extremely high chance of someone disadvantageous... there would be an extremely high chance of some disadvantageous evidence being found when the police arrive. It is inconceivable that the culprit would fail to realize this. The issue now is why the culprit went to all that effort. And that leads us to just one question. What meaning is there to this place, where we found the 6 corpses? This chapel was important to Father. Ever since I was a kid, I was given strict instructions never to enter it. Ooh, I came here once too, got in lots of trouble. Ooh. An important chapel. Does it have some connection to the Ushiromiya head family? I don't know. Father viewed this chapel as very sacred, and he treasured it so much that he had it redecorated several times. But as everyone knows, Father wasn't a devout believer, as his passion for black magic demonstrates. I've never heard of him coming here to offer his prayers to God. As far as I know, the master has never come here. We even call this the sealed chapel, and, I found it eerie, like a haunted house. Even though Father has never approached it himself, for some reason he made the servants give it a major cleaning several times a year. It felt like he kept it clean all the time so that it could be used at any moment. Even so, it's called the sealed chapel. Okay, I'm betting... Okay, George's Satan confirmed. Great. Actually, the spear that was Wrath, I think, was called Satan. So, George is secretly a spear of darkness? I don't know. Also, I just have this hunch that either the original Beatrice, because I'm pretty sure there was a human Beatrice. I think we can confirm that at some point, Kinzo met a woman named Beatrice that started this whole thing. That person has to be buried under that chapel. Either that, or, like, that's where the gold is. One of the two, if not both. It's just, it's got that vibe. Maybe it's indiscreet to say this, but doesn't that sound pretty cool? Dr. Nanjo, you're an old friend of grandfather's, right? Have you heard anything about it? I did ask about it once long ago, but I forget exactly how he dodged my question. That's right, I believe he said something like, someday, perhaps I too will be able to receive a blessing there. But unless some miracle occurs, that day will never come. What does that mean? What would he do in a chapel? He couldn't mean his own funeral, right? Wouldn't believe that of Kinzo-san. He was a man much more focused on the living now than matters occurring after death. Though this does seem to be the root cause of the current inheritance problem. Then what would he do in a chapel? Pray? Aren't confessions done in a chapel too? Anyway, it sounds suspicious. I don't know the reason, but just as Dr. Nanjo said, in grandfather's eyes, all this about not being blessed unless a miracle occurred was set in stone as far back as this chapel's construction. How do you know that? See, it's clearly written over there. Look, right there. George Hineke pointed to a relief with rusted gold letters on the arch above the door. It looked like some message had been written there in English. The rest made it clear that the message had been there ever since the chapel's construction. I'm not that good with English. What is it? This door is opened only at probability of... Sorry, my English sucks. I gave up after failing to finish even the first of the two lines. It looked like the others could read it properly. I think it went MBTQ, so... how many did that mean? I think, Anyway, this is incredible. Adding up all the fingers on both hands doesn't even get you close. It would really be impossible unless a miracle occurred. Certainly. It's quite reminiscent of the old Kinzo-san, who loved using gambling as a metaphor whenever he got the chance. Hey, come on, can everyone read it? Someone tell me what it means too. Heh. You've got to at least learn English. How did you get into high school without being able to read this much? Heh. She got walloped again. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Mind your own business. So what's written there? Simply put, it means something like this. Unless a miracle occurs, this door will never be opened. Unless a miracle occurs, you will never be blessed. Grandfather's magic was based on astronomically low probabilities. In other words, a miracle for opening this door would probably require an incredibly vast amount of magical power. Heh. Ow! Nice job, you can shut up now. Rosa-san, did you have Maria take English classes? Looks like it's useless to try to learn English unless you start when you're young, after all. One sec. Alright. The sealed chapel, huh? Setting aside whether she was a witch or not, it's rumored that Beatrice actually existed several decades ago. Was grandfather's mistress. This is, just my imagination, but perhaps the master truly did love Beatrice-sama. However, he was already married, so they couldn't be united. I see. If Beatrice was dead and could be revived with the magic of a miracle, then now that grandmother's dead, he could marry her openly. And if they married in this chapel, we might end up with a pretty fairy tale-like story, right? I don't think that story is so preposterous. It's a well-known fact that father still loves Beatrice deeply. Also, even though I said I found it creepy, I seem to remember that the interior of the chapel was quite magnificent. The thought that father built this chapel in the hopes of having a wedding with his dead mistress might not be that unlikely. Kino nor his kids mention their mother again? Oh, Kenzo or his kids. Like, the grandmother, they do mention sometimes, in passing. We don't know her name. We just vaguely know she exists. That's all I got for you. By the time he built this chapel, Grandfather probably knew that he would never use it as a church as long as he lived. But he prayed for the witch to be revived by some miracle. And he thought that if that miracle occurred, they could be married here. I see. If you think about it that way, this would be a place of utmost significance to Beatrice-sama as well, even though he knew the chapel would never be open. It's a story of tragic love. Even though Goto-san was even bigger than me, his words were touching. Everyone was silent, but it seemed that they agreed with that view. Even though he knew it was a chapel never to be opened, he still probably dreamed of the day that a miracle would occur. Kenzo-san was quite the romantic in his younger days. I think I understand how he felt. I wonder. Then again, everyone went in it 4 times a year to clean, right? So much for it being the sealed chapel. Didn't we just go in ourselves? That wasn't a miracle or anything. We brought the key, click, and we're in. That's all. This is ridiculous. Huh? What? Then what does that mean? What are you talking about? As far as I could tell, I'd just been joking around, finding myself a bit irritated by the sob story this was turning into. Then Aunt Rosa suddenly jumped on me, with a serious face. Aunt Rosa's face grew increasingly pale. She looked at the magic circle on the door, then at her hand, back and forth, back and forth. What is the matter, Rosa-sama? Hey, Goto-san, the key to this chapel. Didn't Genji-san say it? He said there was only one. Huh? Hee. It took you all way too long to figure it out. Heh. When a kid pulls a prank, it sometimes goes unnoticed by the adults, and the kid who did it gets all disappointed. If such a prank then gets sprung on someone much later, it can really make the kid's day. Maria's celebration just now looked a lot like that. Yes, that's right. There is only one of those keys. It's the key to the Master's treasured chapel, so there's only one with no duplicates. It's normally kept safe in the key box in the servant's room, but... That's right, and Genji-san said it had gone missing. So someone stole it, put it in an envelope, and handed it to Maria? And they did it yesterday. What the... So in other words, isn't that strange? That's absurd. This is getting bizarre. What do you mean? I don't have a clue what you're talking about. They're finally putting it together. It's a locked room. Me neither. Would you explain it to us? Goto and Nanjo's failure to understand definitely wasn't because they were stupid. They didn't know. They didn't know how long the only key to the chapel had been in Maria's possession. There's no mistake. It was locked up. I unlocked it. There's no doubt. Aunt Rosa kept closing the door, locking it, pulling on it to check the lock and opening it again. Her face was becoming pale again. Until I took the key out of Maria's envelope and opened the door, it was definitely locked. But this key was in an envelope placed in Maria's care, and it happened yesterday before noon. What did you say? But that doesn't make any sense. You're right. Maria received a one-of-a-kind key from a woman calling herself a witch midday yesterday. In other words, from midday yesterday until this morning, when Rosa-san unlocked the door, this chapel was a closed room. Unless someone else stuck into Maria's room, got the key, and put it back. I'm just saying, Rosa, we saw at the meeting, she could definitely have brought the key over there, killed her siblings, and gone and put the key back. And then gotten it again this morning. Just saying. Also, I suspect Rosa this time around, just a little bit. How did they get those 6 people in here, and then how did they kill them? The deaths of 6 people had shaken us badly. When we learned about that weird magic circle and the history of the chapel, we felt as though we'd figured at least part of this puzzle out. But that was all absolutely trivial. From midday yesterday until this morning, this chapel was a closed room. But our parents were with us until last night. How did the culprit get into this building? And how did they lock it up again? What are you trying to pull? Again? A closed room again? Are you trying to say you unlocked it with the power of magic? Don't take me for a fool. If you're demanding that I show you how to open locks with power, I wouldn't mind. But that wouldn't be the same as me forcing you to surrender. You keep trying to explain it all with humans. Only when I've cornered all your theories completely will I have my victory. Come now, how will you undermine my defenses? What trick could a human have used to defeat them, It's just like the closed rooms last time. Not enough information. It's impossible to reason like this. Any excuse could be made, any trick could work. There's no way to reason it out. Ha! That again? There's not enough information, so you'll wait and see. Your information is uncertain, so it's impossible to use your reasoning. This is always the excuse you humans use to let yourselves stop thinking. Who do you think you are, lowly human? Are you saying you can't even think unless you're like Laplace's demon, you incompetent fool? Besides, you make it seem like a lack of information works against you, but it's the other way around, you see. The more information you're given, the more it will make you suffer. It'll only increase the strength of the compressor that's squeezing you. Haha. Oh, in that case, let me say this. It's impossible to verify that this is a closed room in the first place. If we're already talking about demons, I can play that game too. It'd be impossible to prove that this isn't a closed room. Just show how someone could have gotten in or out and you're done. But it's impossible to prove that this is a closed room. You could never deny the endless set of possible methods for getting in. In other words, this is one of those devil's proofs. This concept of a closed room is actually something that can never be proved. So first you stopped thinking with a lack of information as an excuse, and now this. Very well. If that is your move, then I will accept it. Continue. First off, it looks like you're trying to claim that the chapel's a closed room. Just a short while ago, I spent some time looking around there, and I couldn't find any way in or out except for the door. But that just means I couldn't find one. It doesn't prove it was a closed room. If there's a hidden door somewhere, or something I wasn't able to find, your promise would be blown away completely. In other words, whether I managed to find a hidden door or not, you'll never be able to deny that there existed some method X that let you into the closed room. And this method X would be something that could be carried out without magic. After all, it's a hidden door. I'm sure that in this chapel, there's some hidden door that's impossible to find. That's why there's no reason for me to figure it out, and magic is still impossible. Oh, so you'll use that logic. How naive. An expected move. Let me make my move in response. These closed rooms, used in detective novels made by mere humans, always seemed utterly ridiculous to me. Why? Because they're used the wrong way. When a closed room appears in a detective novel, do you really think it's a closed room? You don't, do you? What trick did they use to make this look like a closed room? That's what you'd think. In other words, there hasn't been a completed closed room in any of closed room murders that humans have built over the last century. That's weird. Okay. Ooh, better not say that unless you want to face the wrath of mystery fans. Christie's probably grinding her teeth in her grave. But I am different. I have given birth to a true closed room, and I can demonstrate it. Why? Because I am a witch. For the devil's proof, you only had to bring you only had to bring someone a demon to prove that they exist. Correct? Grammar! Well, I conveniently happen to be a witch, meaning that demons are my good friends, and I can bring you as many of them as you like. Sounds great. Dad and the rest used a hidden door to enter the chapel or were carried in through it. How do you plan to beat that move? With this. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, the six definitely entered through the door. Huh? Dumbass. The door was locked, so how'd they do it? I opened it with magic and invited them inside. That can't be true. Since I can't accept magic, there's no way I'll accept that. You're lying. That door can be opened with some trick. Or maybe there's a hidden door, but I won't accept it any other way. Perpetual check. That's what we call an endless repetition of moves in chess. It's the same endless repetition as a discussion that won't advance because both sides deny the basis of each other's claims, like in our game. In most games, this would be resolved as a draw, but that would put a terrible damper on our fun. We will have no draws. You will either accept me and submit to me, or you will deny me. At least I agree with you there. We'll settle this without fail, just as you wish. Ha! I like that attitude. So I had a thought. I think I'll add a new rule to this game between the two of us. A new rule? I'll bet it's something that'll give you an advantage, right? Of course not. I'll give you a thing people like you always demand. The reason you always stop thinking and then moan about it is a lack of information. If you are then given information, you start doubting whether the information is true or not by rejecting the source. Isn't that convenient? What clever little words to hide your own incompetence. I'm offering to eliminate that convenient excuse of yours. You should thank me. You said they entered through the door, and I said that couldn't happen. Are you calling that an evasive answer? Exactly. So from now on, when I speak the truth, I will use red. What is this? Keep explaining. No matter what magical move I use, you can always keep running away by chanting lack of information and by rejecting the source. Even though I would still win in the end that way, it would be extremely boring. Because of that, I'd be happy to give you the information and sources you desire. However, you'll probably doubt each word I say. That isn't bad in itself. I also will use every possible move to make you submit. I don't dislike our posture of searching out our best moves for our own goals. But that won't make a game. So I set up this rule. Everything I speak in red is the truth. There is absolutely no need to doubt it. Are you telling me to believe that? This is a game between you and me. In a game, the rules are sacred. Those who take that lightly are not qualified to play. Okay, I get you. I'll accept that rule. Even an elementary school kid can get into an endless argument and find fault with everything. Then let's start up again, continuing where we left off. I'll say it one more time. Dad and the rest use a hidden door to enter the chapel or were carried in through it. And I shall repeat what I said. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, the 6 definitely entered through the door. Is there any proof? Stop. I will supplement the rule. When I speak the truth, I will use red. And when I do, I will not bear the responsibility of establishing that claim by showing proof. They will simply be facts and the truth. My reason is simple. I carried out all the crimes with magic. So for any impossible crime, all I have to do is wave my magic staff and show you how it's done. But that wouldn't make a game. It would be as barbaric as ignoring victory and defeat in a chess match and punching your opponent in the face. Well, that makes sense. Since you're a witch, there's no need for you to show evidence for what happened. Since you can do anything with magic, damn it. Talk about an unfair game. So, shall we resume once more? The 6 definitely entered through the door. I unlocked it with magic. How will you get around this closed room? The key. Genji-san and the others said there was only one key, but that's impossible to prove. The culprit secretly made a duplicate key. Ha! Only one key to the chapel exists. Then what about this? The culprit made something other than a legitimate key and opened it. I don't know what, but maybe a wire. A tool for picking locks. What is this naive move? It's impossible to unlock the door to the chapel with anything but the chapel's key. Although it can be opened with the power of magic, right? Then what about this? There's something wrong with that door itself. There was some way to pass through it even while it was unlocked. Yes, Half-Narrow, welcome to the logic portion where they have introduced where you must navigate around the logic of the witch. As to what that is, I can think of a few ways. Maybe it's like those big doors on a castle that have smaller doors in them. Also possible they removed the hinges and then removed the whole door before entering. Aha! Is this the best a century of human wisdom can manage, Battler? When the door of the chapel is locked, it prevents any and all methods of entry or exit. Assuming you can't use magic, right? Ha! It's about time for you to checkmate. Yeah, the LSATs from hell, pretty much. Not even close. You said those 6 people entered through a door, but you didn't say it was the front door. They might have entered through another door, a secret one. You talk too much, you incompetent fool. And let me expand on my earlier move. The 6 definitely entered through this front door. Still not saying there's no hidden doors. Just saying. I'm telling you the gold's hidden in that chapel. The door was locked. It was impossible to unlock without using that single key, and yet 6 people entered through it. You're missing the obvious move, good sir. With magic, you say. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Haha. Are we already seeing the limits of what humanity can manage? Then shout that you resign. When one admits defeat, it's customary to shout it out and knock over their own king. So, do you resign? Then announce your surrender and knock your king over by kneeling. Then you may kiss my shoes. There could be no greater joy than forcing a man like you to lick my shoes. Ha! Oh boy. Damn it. It's useless, useless, useless. So I can't win against the witch. This isn't chess at all. I've just been made to take the losing side in a chess puzzle. It's quibbling about details and getting a draw the best I can manage. That's the one thing that'll never happen. Either I will surrender or you will. There can be no other resolution. What happened to that bravery you displayed when you said this would be torture for us both? Hey, what a disappointment. What a total letdown. Wouldn't you say you should be a battler? Damn it, what should I do? What should I do? I can see it. I can see the place where I'll face checkmate. Ah, it's useless. All my hard-fought moves have been nothing more than me desperately moving my king around, running away from check. No matter how many times I move, I can't escape from check. So, even without waiting for the next several moves, I can see checkmate in my future. Ah, damn it. Battler, you're missing the obvious. After a few more moves, I can see where I'll face checkmate. Don't give up, Ushimi Battler. I can see myself getting closed in upon. Then if I spin the chessboard around, I should be able to anticipate her next move, right? Remember what Kirie-san said. When you're thinking about something, then the closer you get to the very, very end, the easier it becomes to anticipate. Spin it around. Spin the chessboard around. What happened? You fell silent all of a sudden. Fear not. Surrender is but a momentary shame. After that, all that remains is the joy of entrusting your fate entirely to the hands of your new master. Ha! Come on, cry out in resignation. I can't hear you. Speak up and say it clearly. Enough babbling. You're just refusing to listen. So I'll say it once more. I won't resign. Continue. Resume the game. Oh. Very well. It's your turn after all. I made the mistake of thinking this rule you made was your own weapon. However, I've realized it can also become a weapon for me. All comes down to this. Please do give it a try. I've been focusing all this time on how they entered the closed room of the chapel. That approach was useless. Ah, it's useless. It's all useless. Spin the chessboard around. That's right. I was thinking about it backwards. This is how I should approach it. How was the chapel, which wasn't a closed room in the first place, made to look like a closed room? Here it comes. That thinking technique humans gave birth to over the course of a century. Give it a try. Say this in red for me. If you can't, then refuse. Here I go. Does this man intend to reverse his defensive posture? Impudence. I get that the only way to enter this chapel is through the door, that there's only one key. But wait. The question is whether that key really was handed over to Maria yesterday before noon. I bet you're dragging this on. Do try and get to the point. Something like this. We've been under the impression that the key's been unusable since midday yesterday. So we've assumed that this was a closed room from midday yesterday until this morning. I want to hear you say that this impression of ours is a solid fact. Interesting. So you turn your reasoning not to the door, but to the key. Yesterday, Maria received an envelope from you. She didn't open it, but she might have felt it and known there was a key inside. But it's not like she'd been able to confirm absolutely it was the key to the chapel. Here's what I'm getting at. The thing inside the envelope given to Maria was a fake. If you think about what you're saying, it's ridiculous. This morning, Rosa definitely took an envelope out of Maria's handbag, and from that obtained the genuine key to the chapel. It wasn't a fake as you suggest. That's not what he's asking. I know that much. I'll continue. In that case, when Maria first received the envelope, the thing inside was definitely that same key to the chapel, right? Oh. See what I'm getting at? Midday yesterday, you gave Maria an envelope with a key inside. You told her that she mustn't open it. Maria probably realized it had a key inside. Later on, Aunt Rosa used the thing inside the envelope to open the door to the chapel. And that's why we assumed it was the key to the chapel all along. This is the suspicious part. So is this what you're trying to say? That when I entrusted Maria with the key was a fake? And then by the time Rosa obtained it, it had been switched with the real thing? Yeah, that's it. What's wrong, Beatrissima? You've been looking a bit pale for a while now, huh? Those close to me sometimes call me Beato. Beato? It's Beato. I'm just gonna call you Beato. Beato will do. It's your turn, Beato. Turn of the Golden Witch. Let's see you dodge this. Very well. The key to the chapel truly was the object inside the envelope I gave Maria. I'll move forward. Can you repeat it in red? That envelope was completely under Maria's supervision until Aunt Rosa opened it. If you can't say it, then say you refuse. Check. I refuse. I've spun it around with just one move. Now it's your king on the run, Vito. I have a reason for refusing. It regards the definition of the phrase under her supervision. In its purest meaning, Maria would need to have her eyes on it around the clock for that to be true. But Maria didn't go that far. It may have been completely under her supervision when she took it out of her handbag, but after she put it inside, it disappeared. Oh. Sorry, I clicked too fast. It disappeared from her field of vision. In that sense, the phrase under her supervision would be inappropriate, so it couldn't use the red. Nothing more. I'll bet that move hurt. And your face tells me you've guessed the next one. Sorry. I'm kind to women. I don't hurt them. And I never betray a woman's expectations. It's time for you to repeat it in red if you think you can. No one was able to touch Maria's handbag until Aunt Rosa took out the envelope. I will also refuse this one. I won't explain the reason. That's wrong. It's not that you won't explain it, it's that you can't explain it. That move gives us checkmate, doesn't it? You can't do it, then I'll explain. The key to the chapel really was in the envelope you handed Maria. Then Maria put it in her handbag, and the next morning, Aunt Rosa took it out and opened the lock. However, Maria didn't have the handbag under complete supervision. There's no need for magic. It's a closed room trick that's possible for a human. The human culprit handed Maria the key, and by making Aunt Rosa use it the next morning, they created the illusion that there was a closed room during that time. You can't deny the possibility that during that time, the culprit took the key from Maria's handbag, used it, and returned it by morning. Can you say it in red? Repeat it. If you can say it, then say it. What sort of Phoenix Wright nonsense is that image? It's check again. Not yet. I removed the check. The envelope with the key in it should have been sealed with wax. Rosa took it from an unopened envelope. Really? Behind the photo. Really? Really? Then try saying it. Repeat it. The envelope handed over midday yesterday and the one Aunt Rosa opened are the same thing. That I can repeat. The envelope I handed over to Maria and the one Aunt Rosa opened are the same thing. Ha! Ah, it's useless. It's all useless. That doesn't even matter anymore. I expected more from you. I figured that if you were a bit better at reading between the lines, you'd resign right there. So I'm disappointed. You've betrayed my expectations. What? Who cares if the envelopes were the same? Envelopes can be sealed with wax over and over. The key inside was what's important. This time it's all over, Golden Witch. It's a real checkmate. I'll say it one more time. Repeat it. If you can say it, try saying it. The key to the chapel inside the envelope Maria received wasn't used even once until Aunt Rosa opened the envelope. How? Could I... Against a lowly human. I'll keep on saying it, Beatrice. Repeat it. The key to the chapel inside the envelope Maria received wasn't used even once until Aunt Rosa opened the envelope. Instead of objection, it's just Battler going, repeat it! If you're gonna yell, then say you resign. This settles it. This is the real truth. Before Aunt Rosa obtained Maria's key this morning, at some point it passed into someone else's hands. Then they used it, resealed it, and returned it to Maria's handbag, making it look like it hadn't been used. This is a trick with a cheap loophole, the assumption that the key wasn't used because the sealing wax wasn't opened. Checkmate. There's no magic, and it's nothing more than a trick that's possible for humans. In that case, who do you say stole the key? Try answering. This time, you try repeating it. That's right, I'm making you repeat things all the time. I probably have to answer every once in a while. But I refuse. My condition for victory is denying a witch's existence. I'll prove that this impossible crime done with your magic was actually possible by human hands. I've smashed your closed room with something possible even for humans. However, I won't specifically investigate who the culprit is. Because I believe in humans. Because I definitely won't accept that there's a person among us who would steal the key from Maria, use it, and do something horrible. I give up. I resign. Just once, for this skirmish, I'll give up. But you really are naive, Battler. Parting remarks are a loser's privilege. Say as many as you'd like. Since you continue to deny my existence, you will eventually be cornered. After all, since you deny me, you will have to suspect those relatives that you can't stop loving. In the last moment, when you have to suspect one who is beloved to you, then you will surely accept my existence. Ha, true, you have defeated me in this skirmish alone. However, that naive logic will definitely destroy you. Okay, like... Suddenly is occurring to me that Beatrice to Battler is that... Exactly. It's that he doesn't want to blame his family. But he also knows deep down it can't be someone else. So like she said, if it comes down to it and he has to suspect someone, he will cave. He can't prove it because it has to be someone. Therefore, all she really has to do to corner him to break him would be to declare in red it is someone on the island that he knows, basically. One of the established characters. That in and of itself would pretty much shoot Battler in the foot, but she's probably not going to do that for a while yet. Beatrice is like a dark side of man, basically. And is different for everyone. For Battler, it's very clearly this figure in the dress, but for others, she appears differently. You can't win against me after all. You show me a Battler. I think he's in trouble. I don't think he realizes how much trouble he's in. Rosa and the rest returned from the chapel to the parlor in the mansion. So many things had happened since early in the morning. Of course, they were high-strung. Battler and George, who had cried, raged, and let their emotions explode after seeing their parents' tragic bodies, returned to the parlor and sat in the sofas, dazed, as though everything up until then had been a lie. Only Maria was completely unchanged and looked just like normal. When she wasn't playing pranks, she was basically a kid who played wordlessly by herself. So even if she was dazed, she would probably look just like she did. But as she turned on the TV and flipped through the channels, it looked as though nothing about her had changed from normal. Did Rosa think anything in particular about this attitude, which was clearly different from normal people? She stared at Maria's back as though looking at something that wasn't quite heartwarming. Eventually, Kumasawa came to say good morning. Good Lord, Kumasawa, you have missed so much. Her cheerful manner was clearly out of place, and she couldn't help but be bewildered by the strange atmosphere in the room. Then, when she heard the details from Goda, she reacted loudly with shock. Of course you've contacted the police, right? What should we do in a time like this? Oh, what should we do? Please calm down and listen. It seems a machine somewhere was somehow done in by the lightning last night. Because of that, we haven't been able to use the phones. What? Then, until the typhoon passes, we can't even contact the police? Maybe Kumasawa's exaggerated surprise was a little comical. Even in this kind of situation, Rosa giggled. Because of that, the fog of confusion that had covered her head cleared up a little. I've got to stay strong. It's not just Maria. I'm acting as a parent for George-kun and Battler-kun too, so I have to stay strong. Rosa had been the youngest sibling, with a large difference in age between her and the others. So she had always been treated as a child. Every time she learned something new, it was something obvious to her siblings. She had built up a complex, becoming convinced of her own incompetence. So she had developed a passive personality, asking her siblings for advice every time something happened. But she no longer had any brothers or sisters. Now Rosa was the only one of the 4 Ushinomiya siblings left. Furthermore, if Kinzo continued to shut himself away even in this extraordinary situation, Rosa would have to surpass this crisis as the head's representative. I'm not a child anymore, not a child. Rosa slapped her knees lightly and stood up. She must not wait for orders now. She had to start moving herself. She picked up the receiver of the extension phone on the side table. Then she immediately remembered that the phones were down. Genji and Shannon, whom she had sent to see Kinzo, hadn't returned yet. She had a good guess as to what was going on. He was probably yelling something nonsensical again and becoming unmanageable. His precious chapel had been defiled with blood. That was easy to imagine. She had planned on using the extension phone to call the study, but unfortunately the phones were down. Rosa decided to go to the study directly with her own 2 feet. Her old self would have been too frightened to go see Kinzo. And in fact, if she did meet him, she would probably be blamed somehow and insulted. This was no time to be frightened. As his true daughter, she had to make him aware of the current situation. Kumasawa-san, I'm going to see Father. Take special care of George-kun and Battler-kun. I'm sure they're on edge right now. Yes, that may be true. It is truly pitiable. I shall make them something warm to drink. Thank you. And get everyone breakfast. No one's eaten. Rosa went out into the hallway and headed towards Kinzo's study. The atmosphere in this mansion, which she'd spent her younger days in and should have been full of memories, seemed somehow different. She began to climb the stairs in the entrance hall. Just then, in the faint darkness down the stairs behind Rosa's back, something glowed. It was a single fluttering gold butterfly. Oh, are we finally going to get the explanation on this? It fluttered around and sparkled. That butterfly danced about without a sound. It was only natural. No one can hear the sound of a butterfly's wings beating. And then, it came to rest on Rosa's back as she slowly climbed the stairs. Rosa didn't notice it. If someone not in the know saw it, they'd probably assume it was just a single sheet of gold leaf in the shape of a butterfly that had stuck there. Without noticing a thing, Rosa continued heading towards Kinzo's study. I'm concerned. Is that how the witch is sneaking in? So how will you entertain me with this next one? There are still many, many places left. Haha. I get the impression that each iteration is going to kind of be Battler examining the adults and deciding who he thinks did it. In the parlor, which had fallen silent again, the only sound was that of the TV that Maria was watching alone. If there was anything audible besides that, it was the sound of the rain, which had continued on and on since the previous night. Every one of those who had witnessed that unearthly and horrible scene stayed silent, as though praying that the events of that morning had all been a dream. Because Kumasawa alone hadn't seen it, her reaction was slightly different. The silence itself seemed more unbearable to her, and she was anxious to encourage everyone somehow. However, she was aware that she must avoid saying anything careless, and she seemed to be pondering how she could be most helpful. Normally, it would be time for breakfast. However, possibly because something so outrageous had happened, Goda seemed to have forgotten to prepare a meal. Or maybe everyone was so beaten up that they'd forgotten their hunger. Kumasawa wanted to bring up the subject of what they should do for breakfast, but it didn't seem like the right atmosphere, so she couldn't. But she was really hungry, so she casually made a proposal. It seems everyone is tired after all that has happened. In times like this, I think the best thing to do is to heat yourself with some warm black tea. Indeed, that is an excellent plan. I agree as well. Ho ho! How about some delicious black tea with biscuits and jam? Ah, yes, I hear Halloween will be here soon. We have some delicious-looking pumpkin-shaped cookies on the shelf. Oh, good lord. Kumasawa-san, that's... Of course, she had said the wrong thing. She had reminded Battler and the rest of the horrible and tragic Halloween party in the chapel. Hanjo hurriedly whispered into Kumasawa's ear. Battler-san, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. Truly, I didn't. No, don't worry about it. I'll definitely turn this boiling anger back onto the culprit. Wonder if that culprit is still on the island. Probably. At least until the typhoon passes, no boat will come. Yes, that's true. After all, the boats stop coming even when it's just a little windy. They certainly wouldn't come during a typhoon, yes. It creeps me out. You think so, Aniki? Me too. And that's even putting aside whether the culprit's that mystery guest or not. Indeed. We've naturally suspected the mysterious guest who calls herself Beatrice, but we still cannot be certain she's the culprit. There's still a possibility she's a victim whose corpse still hasn't been found. It's true. When I think of it that way, there's something I just can't understand. What do you mean by that? It's simple. It's just like Kumasawa Ba-chan said a short while ago. Right now, this island is right in the middle of a typhoon, and escape is impossible. The same thing goes for the culprit. In that case, having the crime come to light should have been the thing the culprit wanted to avoid most. I see. So there was no need to draw that creepy magic circle on the entrance to the chapel and show off the fact that the corpses were there. Yeah, that's it. And if they were able to take the time and effort to do something so horrible to those 6 people, it should have been possible for them to hide the 6 corpses where they'd be impossible to find. I agree. That brutal Halloween party probably wasn't directed at those who died. It was directed at the people who would eventually discover it, us. Probably safe to say that the magic circle was there to help us find it. What if a different adult did it every time? I believe that because I think, from what I know of the sister game, I forget what the name of it is. But the sister game by the same creators, that one has a different acting culprit every time. And in the end, you find out it's a force or something that's causing this to happen. There is an external source that is kind of motivating a different person each time. So it's entirely possible that this time Beatrice is quote-unquote that force, and it's just a matter of figuring out how and why and what. Like, the first 4 arcs are considered the question arcs, and the final 4 are considered the answer arcs, so we're probably not going to get a lot of answers for a hot minute. But we'll see. The culprit knows they won't be able to escape from this island for a while, and yet they acted as though they wanted to make us find the corpses in the middle of this typhoon. What does it mean? If I were the culprit, I definitely wouldn't play around and make us find the bodies. Beatrice somehow was not in her room, and the room did not seem particularly disturbed. No, Milady did disturb it quite a lot, though. Come to think of it, what happened to Jessica? Tenensan is looking after her. They are probably in Milady's room. That isn't good. The culprit is definitely still on the island. In this situation, I don't think it's a very good idea to isolate ourselves in small numbers. What do you mean by that? You don't mean to say that the culprit plans to kill all of us. Ah! Let's remain calm. That is not yet certain. But unfortunately, we can't deny that the possibility exists. This letter was in the chapel. According to this, the culprit is the witch. And if we don't solve the riddle of Grandfather's epitaph and find the gold, they'll massacre the whole family, or something like that. Is that true? Would you allow me to read it as well? They read the witch's letter. Goda, Kumasawa, and Nanju's faces grew even paler than they had been. Kumasawa could no longer hide her shaking. If you don't want to die, try finding Grandfather's hidden gold. Is that it? Screwing around with us. I'll bet she can't solve the riddle, so she's trying to make us solve it. However, I wonder what the truth is. Madame always stated that the legend of the gold was nothing more than an illusion created by the master. It is doubtful whether it actually existed. True. Supposedly, they thought it would be nice if it did exist, but only half believed it. The relatives started believing in the legend of the gold only after Kinzo's health worsened, and the inheritance problem came up. Until then, hardly anyone believed in it, I understand. Oh, so maybe that's why. Do you remember? On the table in the chapel, there were 3 gold ingots. That alone would be worth quite a lot. Does that prove that the legend of the gold was real? Excuse me, please wait. Just now, did you say there were 3 gold bars? Yeah, there were definitely 3 of them piled up. So what? I happened to hear Cross-sama say something once. Yes, I just happened to hear it, you see. It's not like I was trying to listen in on a secret discussions. No, indeed.
Bits received. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eris.
Cool, go bark bark.
Don't worry about that now. So then what? Is there something wrong with there being 3 of those gold bars? Yes. According to Cross-sama, there is only 1 bar ever found to support the legend of the gold. That is correct. I believe Kinzo-san showed the president of Maruso a mountain of gold and let him take 1 bar back with him, or so the story goes. That 1 bar came to be in Cross-sama's possession, and he said that no other gold supporting the master's legend of the gold exists. So you're talking about Uncle Cross here. So what does that mean? No, wait, 3. Wait, where did they come from? That's too many, right? Perhaps there's another explanation. Maybe the other relatives also found 1 each. And they each brought 1 of them there. No, I cannot believe that. When all of the relatives came to the mansion, I was entrusted with their luggage. I did not feel a suspicious weight back then. I think those would weigh about 10 kilograms. That much weight was in their bags, even I would notice. But it didn't seem that way. Same here. At the most, there were some changes of clothes, a first aid kit, Carrier-san's makeup. Stuff like that, I think. Aunt Rosa's luggage also looked pretty light. In that case, those 3 piled up gold bars were being shown to them, or maybe to us. The legend of the gold is definitely real. It isn't an illusion. Telling us to try and find out the secret if we can. They'd be scheming to have us solve the epitaph, which points to where the gold is hidden, and then try to snatch it away. Yeah, that does make some sense. But there are a couple parts that don't fit. To start, our parents, who should have been the most likely to solve the epitaph, were killed first. It seems to create a contradiction right off the bat to me. And something else makes even less sense. If the legend of the gold is actually true, then how were they able to pile up all that gold? It's almost like the culprit's already found the gold, and is telling us to try to find it too. Maybe the culprit found those 3 like Uncle Kraus did. Maybe that convinced them that the legend is true, and they're trying to make us search for the rest. I think that way fits the best. Ugh. The pieces on the chessboard aren't lined up at all. We don't have a clue what the culprit is planning, what they want, or what they want to make us do. Is there any point? No matter what we think, is there any way we can figure it out right now? It was written down, what she wanted to make us do. Couldn't anyone read it? Maria suddenly laughed in a creepy voice.